on?
Yep. Yours.
Yep. You good?
Yep.
All right, we back, y'all. Deeply Rooted Compton Podcast Lounge, and we still having this wonderful conversation with these brothers, from the Hebrew Israelite community, enlightening us about the Bible, about economics, about politics, about the world, and about history, black culture as well. We discussed a wide range of topics, and we're not through. And with that being said, we're gonna continue.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And so getting back to what I expressed right before it cut off, right? A lot of people will look at this book and they'll say, oh, that's the white man's book. Oh, that's the book that was used to enslave you. Oh, all of these claims that you can't even prove, right? Because when you go and you look at the actual history of the Bible, to say that the Bible itself is the white man's book doesn't make sense, because this is nothing more than what you would call a translation of a completely earlier manuscript, right? And we're talking 1500, 1700 years, right?
Let me ask you this question.
Go ahead.
Was that transcript, that manuscript, was that written by white people?
Absolutely not.
Okay, just for clarification.
So when you look at what even when you open up the Bible in the book of Acts, I think it's 16:1, it says that the Jews in that time, which were the apostles, it said in a particular region they were in called Antioch, they were called Niger, Niger. Actually, it's pronounced it's pronounced nigger, right? When you actually go to what you call the lexicon. The lexicon helps you to understand Hebrew and Greek words, and it also gives you definitions.
Okay.
And it shows you how to pronounce it. Okay. The word literally said nigger, and that word meant black. So the Jews were called black. Exactly. More than that, they thought Moses was an Egyptian. The original Egyptians was what color? Black. Right? This all throughout the scriptures, you see that Christ himself in Revelations 1 and in the book of Daniel, it said Christ had an afro and feet and arms that were the color of burnt brass. What color is that? So when you're sitting there saying, oh, this is the white man's book, the crazy part is even people in Africa, you have people in East Africa, Ethiopia, all of those regions that will tell you, oh, we had Orthodox, what you call Christianity, before white people went over there. We were reading the Torah before white people got over there. In West Africa, before they were conquered, people said, oh, we were reading the Torah. We were reading the Bible before these people came over and conquered us. We don't have that issue. We don't argue that. It's our people here today. And the crazy part is, to what the brother was saying earlier, this ain't just some random book. This ain't just some book of religion. Right?
It's been around for ages.
It's been around for ages. More than that, right? This is a book of the history of so-called black and brown people, right? Mm-hmm. When you read the Bible and you see you spoke to a situation earlier, right, about the Jews being in Africa and coming to the Americas.
Right.
In the scriptures, the siege of 70 AD transpired and all the Jews dispersed. The bulk of the Jews went into what's called North Africa.
Okay.
And when they went into North Africa, as time went on, a couple of decades, couple of centuries down the road, they slowly migrated into what's called West Africa.
Okay.
When we got to West Africa, and actually you can look up, it's a map. It's called the Emmanuel Bowen, the Negro Land map by Emmanuel Bowen. He's a cartographer, meaning he's a map maker. Right. He used to make maps in the 1700s. In West Africa, where the Jews where the Africans were taken into slavery, that region that they took them from, the Gold Coast, the Ivory Coast, it was known as Negro Land. And there were areas there, for example, there was a region that was called the Kingdom of Judah. It was around Ghana, it was around what you would know today as modern day Ghana, not too far from Nigeria. Just so happened, there's a ton of Jews that are still over there. And it just so happened that that's where the Jews came from, or a bulk of the slaves came from when they came to the Americas.
Okay.
That region. So people are like, oh, Africans were selling Africans. No, it's not what happened. Africans were selling Jews, black Jews, into slavery. White people were looking for slaves. They said, oh, they're not like us anyways. We don't, go ahead.
In all fairness too, because I want to, I know we got a chance to touch down on the continent. Mm-hmm. I don't want to say unfortunately because it is what it is, but it was definitely, when we say Africans, it's important to understand that there are different people,
Tribes.
different, not only tribes, different races of people all together that make up what we call Africa. So there were, to simplify it, even in terms of scholastically, what is widely accepted is, Noah's 3 sons.
Right. Ham, Shem, and Japheth.
Ham, Shem, and Japheth. So when we talk about, a lot of people when they think of Africans, meaning non-Israelite people, they're usually referencing Hamitic people, right?
Okay.
And this becomes a topic of debate because some people, they feel us away. What do you mean? We're all Hamitic, and that's not the case.
At all.
It's not the case.
And for the viewers, what classifies a Hamitic person?
Someone who descends from Ham.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Noah's son.
One of Noah's sons.
One of Noah's sons.
Yeah, we descend from another son of Noah's, which was Shem.
Shem.
Right. So it's important to understand that the majority of the nations of this earth historically were all of color, except one nation of people. And there are things that happened that caused for there to be more what some people would call diversity, but what we would probably just simplify and call mixing, right? More mixing happened throughout the ages, right? But so-called white folks, like we talked about earlier, lack, that same trait, having the melanin. There was a mutation, if you will,
Right.
of them, lacking the melanin that other nations had, right? And that's talked about in this book.
Right.
Right. So here's the thing. East Indians, right? Have you ever seen an East Indian?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Now, there's some pretty dark brothers up in here. There are East Indians that are far darker
Right.
than the darkest of us.
Right.
And when you see them, most people don't say, "Oh, he's a black man." What do they say?
They say he's Indian.
He's Indian. But why? So that's something we got to understand. Just because you're dark skinned or you're, brown or perceived to be what they call black, doesn't mean that we're all the same. Right? So yes, there were Hamitic people that sold Israelites, but there were also Israelites, and it's documented, and you go over there, they'll admit it. It's Israelites, just the same way you got deeply rooted. We talk about the reality of the streets,
the division.
You know what I'm saying, of LA County,
Right.
and all of the different gangs, and this is the inception of it all. In terms of what we know as gangbanging culture. You know what I'm saying? It's no different. The mentality was the same. Historically, unfortunately, it wasn't just whites, Arabs, and Hamites that sold us. It was our people also.
Right.
It took part in that, unfortunately. And you get some of them when you go over there and they'll talk about it and they'll express their,
their remorse, their regret.
Yeah.
Man, I'm sorry for what my people did to your people. I've heard that before.
But it's definitely niggas over there. That's all that to say.
But to the point. So the Jews got here the way that they got here through the transatlantic slave trade. Now here's the thing: some people will try to argue and say, no, you're not the Jew. The original Jews are over there in Israel right now. That's just not true, right? And 2 or 3 things to just meditate on, right? One, you have Jewish rabbis today. There's a Jewish rabbi named Harry Rosenberg. And out of his own mouth, he said, well, there's a population of people in America today, African Americans, that are laying claim to being Jews. And so the question is, are they just trying to latch on to something as they're trying to find an identity? Or is there actually something there? And his words were, and the answer is, there's probably something there, and maybe they are the original Jews, and maybe we did come later down the road. So the thing is, they know.
So they're accepting.
They ain't accepting it. No. They ain't. Some are accepting it, but the bulk of them are not. Are not. I'll give you an example. Kanye West, and he stood on it for the longest. He said, "No, I'm a Jew." we're the original Jews, the 12 tribes of he called it the 12 tribes of Judah, but it's the 12 tribes of Israel, right? And he stood on that for the longest. Instead of people coming out and saying that is false information, that is fake news, I can debunk you right now. You know what they did? Shut up, nigga. We finna cut your account. Now Chase froze his whole account, and he never said anything that was actually what they call anti, you know what, because I don't want to get y'all struck with certain words. So he didn't say he was anti anything. He said, I'm a Jew too. That's all he said.
Right.
That's all he reiterated, and they tried to make him recant it. He said no. They cut his account, said recanted. He said no. And they kept putting pressure on him. They finally put enough pressure on him, and he took it back. Ice Cube said it. He got real quiet. Kendrick said it. Then he got real quiet. Deshaun Jackson's statement was, we are the original Jews, and we are Jews too, right? They made him apologize for that. No one ever, Nick Cannon, they took, what was the name of his thing? Viacom. They took that from him. All he said was, oh yeah, I know we're the original Jews. Those were the only words that were said. Nothing hateful was ever said. But instead of the historians coming out and proving them wrong, they said, oh no, you done lost your mind.
Well, why do you think that is? Why do you think that the people like you just named got quiet with the admission of being a Hebrew Israelite?
Because here's the thing. You have a name, and that government issued name, which you were probably named by a family member, mother, father, right? And to this day, when you need to go to the bank, pull out that card that has your name on it, and that's a form of identification. It's your ID. And you're able to give that to say, this is me, right?
Right.
Right. So it becomes an issue when you go to that same bank tomorrow and they say, that's not
That's
you,
not
sir.
you. That's not you.
With the same ID. Nah, it's not me?
It's not you.
Oh, nah.
That's a problem, right?
Yeah.
So essentially, these people are literally ruling the earth. When you talk about these people that call themselves by that name, right? These are the people that have been able to successfully literally be the movers and shakers of all movers and shakers on the planet Earth.
They run the bulk of the media. They run the bulk of the music. Everything that programs you, educational institutions.
Everything.
Right.
In your name, with your ID.
Calling themselves Israelites, calling themselves Jews.
With your ID. That's why.
So now imagine you start to find out who you really are, and you start to find out how you got into this position.
They've been able to say, you know what? This land is ours, says our God. Because, hey, look, we're the chosen people. Mm-hmm. And the whole world has respected it. Mm-hmm. So as much, how are people doing over in this country? If we decided to say, hey, guess what? Hey, that's us, man. We need our land back. How do you think that's going to go?
It ain't going to go good.
So now,
it's not going to go good.
Now, hold on. Now, watch this. I don't mean to put the pressure like this, but in the street, y'all done been in the streets. You see that happen to somebody and they go ahead and just say, oh, you know what, you can have it. What would you say that, especially in your younger years? How do you view that?
You know, realistically, everything that happens like that got to be some violence attached to it. It got to be some bloodshed. It got to be some death. You know, that's the only way that's going to, transpire.
So now it's crazy because that's why it's unfortunate because a lot of things are not done under the guise of righteousness. So it's not righteous. Mm-hmm. But this doesn't mean that the principles are not attached to a righteous way. Mm-hmm. Right. Because that's exactly what's going to happen according to the Bible. There's got to be violence.
Right.
You got to be violence.
Because the first thing people are like, oh,
slavery is violence.
How in the world we like, excuse me, sir, excuse me, I'm a Jew too. No, you're not.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's why they react the way they react, and they, especially when they give celebrities a platform. Mm-hmm.
Right.
They say, no, you're not on this platform.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then they messed up because they created this thing called social media and the internet. Once they made you a star and you somehow get out of that contract, you got enough
Of a
notoriety, enough of a
Yeah,
following,
enough
where you can go
money.
and do it yourself.
Right.
That's a problem.
Right.
That's the reason why they try to leverage and blackmail you and have
Right.
compromising things on you and things.
Right.
Now it makes sense.
Of course.
Yeah. So
So to your question, well, why they have to get shut down, because if nobody presses them or makes them change their mind or makes them recant what they said, then other people are gonna be like, wow, maybe it has some merit, and
planting seeds.
and you plant seeds, right? So it goes back to that exact analogy. You like, man, let me start reading and seeing,
Right.
as a Jew, what should I be doing? So then you learn that, and then it goes back to what I said earlier, right? In the book of Judah, chapter 5, it says, you are, in a nutshell, you're untouchable when you obeying God.
Right.
If you decide you don't want to obey God, easy money, right?
Right.
So imagine every black and brown brother starts reading this, starts saying, wow, this is me, this is my history, this is my heritage, this is my constitution. I'm going to start obeying this.
Let me ask you this question. When you say black and brown brothers and sisters as well, are you talking about Mexicans and blacks, or are you talking about other brown people as well?
Right.
Yeah, you can answer if you
Okay.
want to.
No, we're talking about so-called blacks and then so-called Hispanics and Native Americans. Here's the thing.
Okay.
People are like, oh, those are totally different people. No, they're not. And the crazy part is, just like you can trace your lineage back to Israel, a lot of the so-called Hispanics can trace their lineage. They have history, they have records, they have archaeology that traces them back to that same place.
Okay.
I tell people this too. Who are the majority of individuals that's hanging out with us at the bottom?
Right.
But the thing is, they be like, yeah, but they got a land to go to. That's not their land, though. They know their history good enough to know that they migrated to that land. They'll tell you their history, their ancestors know this information. Oh, we came here from what they call they came over what's called the Great Waters. That's what they know it as. But, well, at the time, that's what they knew it as. So with that history, they know that they came from somewhere east as well. So-called African Americans, a lot of us only know as far back as West Africa. But when you go to West Africa, they'll tell you, no, we migrated from North Africa and even Northeast Africa. What's over there? The land of Israel. A lot of them in that region actually know, no, we're Israelites. We just ended up in West Africa and you guys just ended up in America. We was out teaching one time and we ran into an East African. Somebody brought him over, I forgot who. I said, do you know who the real Jews are? He said, yeah. You guys.
Really?
I said, where did you learn that? He said, oh, in my country, we know that. So the thing is, and you can go to Britain, a lot of them know it. You can go to West Africa, a lot of them know it. You can go to the Middle East, a lot of them know it. The only people that don't know it is the people that are those people. The problem is, this is where the bulk of the Israelites are. So guess what? I got to keep you distracted. I got to keep you confused. I got to keep you lost. That way you don't want to come back to this. The black church done got black people running away from this book. They hate this book. Man, the black church full of hypocrites. All they do is exploit people. They take money. They use the Bible to do it. And then you don't start getting into the conscious African side. See that book right there? That's the white man's book. We really all from Africa. Not exactly. Everyone wants to be Egyptian. Egyptians still know who Egyptians are.
I know we be feeling like we the majority over here, but sand of the sea. Like
Right.
Literally, we got Israelites. So like our organization, we have literally churches in the Philippines. So somebody might be a Filipino. That ain't black, Mexican, and Native American. What's up with that?
I was gonna say, but you'd be surprised how many of the people migrated from Israel into those regions.
But not only that, definitely. It's even more multifaceted than that. What you'll find is there has to be kind of I want to word this correctly. I want to say there has to be kind of more of a broad description that we give. We're not always comfortable with saying, oh no, it's just these people, because It kind of doesn't work like that.
Right.
Like, what happens is, you find out that we feel like we know what we know.
Okay.
Yeah, before I began to study and before I touched certain places, I felt like I knew what I knew. Mm-hmm. African is African. That's how I felt at that time because I grew up in South Central LA.
Before you knew better.
All I knew was I was a nigga.
Right.
I was a nigga with nigga ways and a nigga way of thinking. I came up, bootleg Christian. That's all I knew.
Right.
So then I started learning, especially when I touched down and I got a chance to hear it from them, right? It just so happens, some people speak the same language. Mm-hmm. They speak English well enough. Now we can talk. And you thinking because they somewhere over here that they can't articulate and they don't know what's going on. And then they open their mouths and they start giving you the history. You're like, whoa. Mm-hmm. So all of y'all ain't the same. Same thing in the Philippines. Like they start giving you the history. And then you start saying, okay, all these islands. You know how many islands is in the Philippines?
No.
Guess.
12.
Okay. Guess.
I'll say about 20.
20? All right. Over 7,000. I think actually
Damn.
over 7,600 islands.
How many of them are inhabited?
I think if I'm not mistaken, around 2,000.
The other 4,000 is just like, wow,
Just,
uninhabitable.
yeah. I mean, some of them are so small.
Little dragons running around.
When you go to some of them are so small, but it's so fragmented, right?
Right, but it's still an island.
Yeah.
By definition.
Yeah, but then some of the islands that are more prominent, like we went to an island, right? The main island that we stayed at, right? And next to that island, guess what island was right next to it that we were on that side of the island and we were able to look at every day. We were able to look at that island. That island was called Negros. And it had a history. They got slave ports in Negros and in Cebu. And then you start learning like, oh shoot. You start learning how many different things that happened that could have brought the possibility of other peoples into that land. So it was slave trades, but even before that, it was migrations. Mm-hmm. So it's so many Israelites. Like that in itself is something you have to be okay with. While you're living here, you probably will never know all the Israelites, but you understand, like, that's why the Bible sets certain things to say, look, there's a parable when he says, the wheat and the tares. Mm-hmm. And they said, hey, you know what? You want us to get rid of the tares, meaning the undesirables. They look like wheat, but they're not wheat. And they're basically taking away the resources from the wheat and sucking the life out of the wheat. It'd be better because the wheat can grow up stronger if we just go ahead and get rid of the tares. And then they're told, don't touch the tares. You know why? Because if I let you touch the tares,
You might get the wheat.
you're going to pull out the wheat because you're not going to be sufficient enough to perfectly decipher between all of the wheat and the tares.
Right.
Until they're fully blossomed.
People let them know about the wars too. How people was going from Mexico back to the Philippines.
Absolutely. Like one of the more prominent figures, what's his name? Emilio Zapata,
Okay.
who a lot of Mexicans that are, they care a little bit about, their history of revolution. They'll talk about Zapata. Well, he was known to be Afro-Filipino Mexican.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
That's important to know.
Yeah.
That's really important to know, especially out here with all the different ethnicities, which primarily Hispanic and Black.
Right.
And then the adversity in the penal system.
Yeah.
And then sometimes on the streets as well, which is all because of lack of knowledge. Like brothers fighting brothers, basically.
Yeah.
Right.
Sometimes even when you see there's a lot to learn about the islands, like the Samoans, and we like,
Right.
there are Israelites amongst the Samoans, amongst the Tongans, You know, and you start learning as time goes on and you live in and you learn more and more about all of these different places in the earth and their unique history and how there's a common thread of our people's story in all of these places. So it gives you a different level of respect to say, okay, let me really tap in and see, like, what is this, man?
Right.
Let me try to be an aid and be open enough. That's why we try to be careful, because some Israelites are not, unfortunately, haven't been led well enough and are not wise enough to understand that as of yet. And they jump off the porch ready to cut.
A little rough around the edges.
Yeah. And we don't necessarily operate like that, because the reality is wheat and the tares. We don't know who all the wheat is, and we definitely don't know who all the tares are. So the Bible talks about our spirit bearing witness with his spirit that we are the sons of the living God.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? There's a thing, like certain nations of people, I don't care what you do, you can invite them to the table and they're not going to get with the program or what this Bible says, because that's not in them.
Right.
That's not in them. So.
And the thing is, you have what's called, when we went through the Transatlantic slave trade, and even when the Spaniards came over here and conquered and even enslaved the Native, they were all known as Indians and Native Americans at the time. It wasn't no Mexican, Salvadorian, Guatemalan, none of that. You was Indians, right? So even when they came over, because the separation of that, like people are arguing, oh, I'm not Salvadorian, I'm not Mexican, I'm Salvadorian. Y'all was all at one point or another the same people. The Aztec Empire ran from, I think, like New Mexico down to the middle of what we call Mexico today. The Inca Empire was a little further south of that, from I think like Brazil, or no, it might have been the Mayan Empire, I think, ran from like the back end of Mexico down into South America. Like the empires were much bigger, and then it was divided to keep you divided.
And these empires, that's another thing that a lot of people don't know. They existed at different times.
Different times,
So they weren't like all like, it wasn't like, oh, you know, the whole point of being an empire is when by the time you reach empire status, you control.
You control everything.
Right. Yeah, so you didn't have really multiple empires coexisting at the same time.
Right.
You may have kind of like what you see today with America and the British. You know, the British still exist, but the British was big homie.
Right.
Now the British is the little homie.
Right.
America the big homie. But America came out of Britain.
He sure did. Yeah, it was Britain and England.
So even with that, here in America, because we had the luxury, we didn't have to know that. I'm just now really learning and really like, okay, well, what's the difference between Britain and England? And the UK, what is that?
Oh yeah, that's all totally different.
Yeah, so
Still the same thing, but it's different. But that's what the war was about. That they had, the Civil War. The British are coming. The Red Coast, the Blue Coast, and all this. Paul Revere and all that. The whole little story.
they wanted to fight for independence.
Yeah, they
so
don't
like
been in the crown of England no more.
the same way America right now has like Puerto Rico as a territory.
Right.
It was like, okay, the colonies over here, it was like, okay, that's our territory. Different countries was trying to claim different territories. And they got to a point, they were like, well, we don't want to be territory of the Commonwealth of Britain. We want to do our own thing.
Right.
Britain was like, heck no. So they fought over that. America whooped their behinds. So then they fought again. And after they fought that last time, Britain backed off and said, okay,
Y'all got it.
how can we get along?
I think they had a treaty, if I'm not mistaken, but they said like, it's gonna sound crazy, but I think they said something like white people won't fight each other in war no more.
They still fighting.
Nah, what two major white people are fighting in war right now?
They getting ready. They getting ready.
Huh? Russia and Ukraine. Okay.
They getting ready, but yeah.
Well, I think they were talking about like them though.
Yeah, nah, that's what they was feeling back then.
Yeah.
Because they're we look at them at all these different nations, but they're all from the same people. They're the same people. They know that. The kind of the history of the United States, you had the colonies, a little bit beyond that. Man, I don't want to butcher it, but there's a history on how everything the Louisiana Purchase, Texas, Texas actually began, Texas and a little bit more of that area situation where Mexico decided it would be smart to allow Americans to use that land, to rent that land, to run their plantations. And they got to a point they was like, we ain't trying to abide by what Mexico was saying, because Mexico
Right.
was like, y'all can't have slaves. They was like, yeah, right. This how we doing it, right?
Right.
And Mexico was like, nah, that's a problem. So they ended up winning their independence and saying, okay, they became Texas even before they became a part of the United States. You know, you got the Louisiana Purchase. You got obviously what ended up happening with Alaska, all the way down to obviously, like I said, the western states, which includes California. That's why we'd be like, oh, California was Mexico. It actually was. They whooped and punked Mexico and then gave them a little measly, however many million. It was like, this us.
Right.
And took essentially half of Mexico, because, you know, from California all the way down to Texas, that was all Mexico.
Right.
And everything in between.
Yeah, and anybody listening, anybody watching, you don't agree with anything, feel free to do your own research, do your own due diligence. You know, get on YouTube, get on Google, or Siri, whatever you got, and look it up. Even go to the library, read a book.
Right.
Yeah, read, learn something. That's why I'm in school right now. I'm chilling. I'm listening. I'm learning. You know, and I'm enjoying the company these brothers bring, the energy. You know, everything is 100. Everything's solid.
And that's why, you know, we definitely have what you would call the dispersed, right, of the Israelites. But when we speak to the point of, you know, so-called black and brown, the reason why we say that is because the bulk of the African Americans, right, that came over in this region, the bulk of them, not every single one, were Jews, the ones that came and were enslaved and came over here. And guess what? Those individuals had kids. They procreated. Over the span of, I don't know, 500 years now, imagine how many kids, you know, you would have in that realm. So you bring 100,000 people, every couple has 2 or 3 kids, and you do that for 500 years, we add a couple of million, right? Then you have so-called brown people, Mexicans and Native Americans that came over here, same thing. And they came over here a lot thicker than we did. And guess what? They stayed with themselves for a certain amount of time, and they procreated. Before they were conquered by the Spaniards, they procreated. So the reason why I expressed it that way, as, you know, the bulk of black, you know, it being black and brown people, is because those were the individuals that were here first. Then of course you had a number of individuals that came in afterward. A lot of people even today that are migrating here even now, and they now intermingle. They now, what you call, have mixed marriages and what do you call it? Interracial relationships, interracial marriages, things of that nature, which then begins to muddy the waters, so to speak, because you got people that are our people that don't look like our people. Because a part of it that a lot of people get confused is it's skin color. It's not skin color, it's lineage, right? So you could have a brother by the same daddy and a different mama, y'all still the same lineage, y'all the same family, but you dark skinned, and let's say he come out light skinned, he got looser curls.
Right.
Then let's say he dates a sister that's mixed, light skin or whatever. That baby gonna come out lighter. Let's say you get a dark skin, get with a dark skinned sister.
Right.
They still family because they coming from the same lineage.
Right.
But they don't look the same, right?
Right.
So that goes into what Bishop was talking about earlier. We have our people are in different regions of the Americas and the rest of the world. But here, the reason why I worded it the way that I worded it, the bulk of the Israelites, not saying the bulk of the Israelites altogether, but the bulk of America, the black and brown people that are here, the bulk of them are Israelites, right? Okay. And so because you have 450 million people here in America, they say it's about 20 or 30 million people that are African American. Let's be fair, most black people don't do the census. So you can't really number it that way because most of us don't even do the census. So as according to what they have on file, it's about 20 million people. Then you have a lot of our people, so-called brown people, that don't want to associate with being Hispanic or Afro-Hispanic or Afro-Native American or whatever the case is. They check off on that box white, right? So the census is confused because it'll say, oh, there's 100 million white people. A lot of them are Latinos, and they just don't want to be called Latino. So guess what? They gonna say I'm white.
Right.
Now,
Or they want to pass.
or they want, they want to pass.
So-called Negroes that pass for white.
Exactly, and you got a lot. Yeah, you got black people that can do the same thing.
So
So
assimilated into American culture.
absolutely. So all of that
Not
to
black culture.
right. So here's the thing. All of that to say, the bulk of black and brown people here are Israelites. So out of 440 million people, you got to imagine at least half of that is Israelites. So you're looking at about 200 million people, right?
Here in America.
Here in America, it's about 450, and you can fact check me. It's like 450 million people in America today.
If 200 million is Israelites, that's enough.
So now here's the thing.
You can do something.
But here's the thing. They know that, so now we got to keep you stupid. Guess what I'm gonna give you? I'm gonna give you sports. I'm gonna give you BET. I'm gonna give you this detrimental music. I'm gonna give you Chirac. I'm gonna give you King Von.
I'm gonna tell you what they do that's even worse than all of that is 100%. I want you to continue with that, but I'm gonna tell you one of the main things that they've been historically doing and that they still do, and I'm gonna give you an example. Right? All I need, the same way in the hood, all you need is one rider, right? Mm-hmm. And he can set everybody. He can be a legend. He can put in so much work. All you need is one. They make sure that they get their ones. Mm-hmm. So what you was talking about, all these people that they white. It's way more white folks. They the majority. We the minority. J. Edgar Hoover. Now, what was his legacy?
COINTELPRO.
And what all happened with that?
Went down.
I'm talking about what kind of damage did they do?
No more. They got a thing for the Black Messiah. Like
But do you
see any nigga and like he about to rise up and teach these other niggas and help get these niggas together? We taking them down.
But J. Edgar Hoover, come to find out, was black.
Mind blowing. That's like Hitler said he only want blonde hair and blue eyes. He got brown hair and brown eyes. Mm-hmm. Woo! Damn.
What was it? His grandfather or something?
I think it might have been on his father's side. Don't quote me, but I think it might have been on his father's side. But there's a woman that's in his family, a black woman, and they were told when they were young, they were like, it was people in their family that came up dead because the whole point was like, hey, don't let this secret get out. So they're just speaking up about what they know about that family and who he was and all of that.
J. Edgar Hoover's grandfather was black.
I don't want to say specifically, but he was black
So
lineage.
he got some black in him.
I think it was more than he had some black in him. I think on his father's side, if I'm not mistaken.
He just had a little bit of black in him.
Let me see.
Did he know it?
Huh?
Did he know it?
He knew it, but he didn't want
So
the
why
world.
he hate blacks? That's why.
That's the whole point. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's not always like our people have been employed to do the worst of the damage. A lot of times.
Right. I
Like,
see how you bringing it in.
Yeah.
Perfect example in him. Gonna get somebody that's part black to take down the blacks.
I mean, all you got to do is I get like one or two of them, and like even they did it in Belly, they did it in the Black Messiah. Yeah. So the thing is, I can destroy you a number of ways, right?
Number of ways.
So we got the gang culture for black people. Cool. Y'all start trying to unite. I'm just get one of the niggas that's already on paperwork, and I'm gonna make them do something. I'm finna set them off. Brothers like, oh yeah, no, we gonna start trying to figure out how to come together. We gonna find one of the young niggas and have them go over there to the enemy side and shoot them, or we just get one of the feds to do it and say it was one of y'all. Like,
and that's why I can never be no peace.
They don't want no, because if I can keep you on your toes and I can keep you anxious and I can keep you frustrated and I keep you in this state, you will never decide when you hear the influencers, the Kendricks, the Ice Cubes, the Sean Jacksons, when you see these brothers out here that's talking about this and standing on business when it comes to the Bible, if I can keep you busy and distracted long enough, you gonna forget about this. You brothers will come up to us and be all for it. Man, y'all powerful, right? And get in the car, drive right down the street to the Rams game. Forget everything we said. That fast. This land, the way that they have been able to keep us enslaved is let me continue to keep you distracted. In addition to let me stick a mole in there. I can put a mole in there in case y'all decide to start coming together. But the easiest thing I can do is basketball season. When basketball season's over, it's baseball season. When baseball season virtually year round. We got boxing that's year round. We got football season that comes around. We got rap music. Everybody was. I remember this. Everybody was on Power. So heavy, so tough. Power was about what? A glorified drug dealer. And everyone loved that show. However it is they want to keep you distracted through the music, through the sports, through the television shows, I'm going to keep you distracted because it's easier to sit there and scroll on social media, to watch these TV shows than to actually open a book and read. Right. The attention span of the average American is so short now, they cannot read a book. A lot of them cannot comprehend. A lot of them comprehend on an elementary level. A grown man, my age, your age, still comprehend on a child's level. The government has done their job. Here's the problem. We try to go out and reprogram these individuals to tell them, you are more than what they've been telling you. According to this Bible, this is your history and these are your laws. And the reason why your neighborhoods look like this, the reason why your community is redlined, the reason why these people rule over you, the reason why you can't look at another black man and smile and you feel a way about your people, because the Bible said it. The Bible said these things would transpire. It's called the curses. In the Bible, it literally says the brother who was once tender and delicate among you, the man, his eye will be evil toward his brother, toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave. Guess what? That's going on today. The Bible tells you your life will hang in doubt and you will have none assurance of your life. Guess what? That happens today. The Bible said, cursed will you be in the city, cursed will you be in the fields. Guess what? That happens today. The people who claim to be Jews, they're not under any. If I open up this book and start reading, and I say, let's play a game called Who Is This? And we start reading through what's called the curses. When you read it, you're gonna be like, yeah, this don't fit none of them.
Yeah, fit us only.
And then let's not even deal with the color of the original Jews, because all through the Bible it tells you they look like the Egyptians. They look the same color as the Ethiopians. The woolly hair, skin is brass. Skin is the color of olive. What color is olive? Either he was an alien because he was green, or he was black. You got, and then you got red olives, but technically you look at that's like a coat of brown. So he was green or he was brown or black. What are we, right?
I think he was green.
Hey, but all of that to say, our people, and I pray to the Most High that one day it registers with us.
Right.
Our identity has been stolen.
True, I agree with that.
In addition to our identity being stolen, we've been given another identity.
I agree with that as well.
We've been given a culture and a heritage that is destructive.
Baseball mom and apple pie.
The crazy part is the culture is so destructive, right?
Right.
I tell people all the time, if people open up this book, like I know grown men and women to this day, man, I couldn't have a daughter. I just couldn't imagine my daughter being a hoe. Well, if you spent time with her and raised her according to this, I guarantee you she wouldn't be. Because here's the thing, children are easily influenced.
Of course.
Whatever they're around the most is the direction that they will go. So how much time are you putting into them? And when you're putting time into them, what are you feeding them? Spiritually, mentally. This book got the answer to raising kids, keeping marriages together, happy and in order, building up communities, building up nations. So it blows, and even more than that, this is your history. If you open up this book and you read this, you're gonna be like, damn, this is me. I remember I was talking to somebody one time. I said, imagine you tell a little black boy who's heard about Jesus Christ. Most of us know Jesus as this white man, long stringy hair, blue eyes, blonde hair usually, right? You look at every rapper, they Jesus piece look like, you
right.
feel me? It's white Jesus, right? Imagine you tell a little black boy, Do you know you got some of the richest history in the world? You know Jesus Christ looked just like you?
Right.
The most famous man in history was your ancestor. The problem is why it's so easy for us to be happy in the culture that we have, this detrimental culture.
Speak on it.
Is because we don't have anything to compare it to. We don't have any actual rich culture. People try to say Egypt, but most niggas know they're not from Egypt. They just like,
Right,
I'm African. Here's the problem. Africa got what, like 55 countries, not states.
Right.
Countries.
Right.
All of them ain't even the same.
In them countries, there's states.
Hello?
Yeah.
So which African are you? Oh, I'm just African. That's
That's blanket.
that's crazy.
That's generous.
Nondescript.
So now here's the thing, right? You take away my culture. I don't know how rich my culture is. I don't know my history. You give me something else and you condition me to be okay with it, I'm good. I was talking on the podcast that I was on not too long ago. I said there was this video going around. It was a so-called black woman. And she was dancing with this East Indian woman, right? They were dancing, they were playing around or whatever the case is. The sister turned around and started twerking. The East Indian woman looked at her and was like, yo.
What are you doing?
And she was trying to get her to dance like that. The East Indian woman said, no, we don't do that. That's shameful.
Right.
We only do that for our husband.
Right.
Here's the thing. Our people have been conditioned to be shameless.
Right.
So women, some sister just got fired from her job as a flight attendant. She was like, what's wrong with a little twerking before work? Why are you posting it? Why is your booty on social media? Why do women feel like it's okay to sexualize themselves? And you wonder why single parent households were running rampant. All praise to the Most High. And I believe this is what you would call a part of the big awakening. A lot of we're starting to develop more two-parent households, or at least children being raised up with two parents. But for the longest, and it's still something that's still an epidemic here, single-parent households in our communities. STDs run rampant. You know why? Because most people don't have the physical discipline. We see stuff and we're like, oh, I'm finna go get that. STDs, single-parent households, all of this, the baby mama drama and stuff that goes on in the ghettos is a product of the detrimental culture that the people who claim to be us have propagated and put in our communities.
Right.
That's why people happy to be gangbangers, happy to be real niggas. And it's like, bro, but what is that getting you? Aside from looking over your shoulder all the time, not knowing if you're gonna wake up tomorrow, not knowing if you walking down the street gonna be your last time walking down the street. It doesn't make sense, but we take so much pride in a destructive culture.
Right.
The reason is because
that's
the only culture we know. But the moment you find out that this, and here's the thing, this is backed by verifiable historical records to show you that this Bible, because people are like, that Bible's fake, that Bible's all an analogy. No, the Exodus is documented in history. The flood of the Egyptians during the time of the Exodus was documented. The flood of Noah is documented in every single culture, just about every single civilization and culture. They call it the Great Deluge. A number of people have documented that. Jesus Christ, it's documented that this man actually existed. What am I missing? There's so much proof that shows that this is more than just a religious book, as people try to say. This is a historical book. And when you open it up and actually read the laws, the Jewish people today actually keep these laws. They follow the actual laws written in Torah. I'll give you an example. If you go to a Jewish bank in Beverly Hills, they'll loan to you on interest. They don't loan to their own on interest. You know why? Because the Torah tells them not to. The Torah tells them you loan to your people with no interest, but the other nations, you get interest off of them. That's how you pull money from their communities into your communities. Mm-hmm. It's economics. I'll give you another one. Credit. When everything falls off your credit, you don't have screwed up credit, you don't went bankrupt and everything else. It lasts how long? 7 years. And then it's off your credit. The Bible has what's called the year of Jubilee every 7 years. And so a lot of people don't realize a lot of the principles that are here in America are founded here. A lot of the ways that the people stay in power, they don't realize, like economically speaking, they follow a lot of these laws. Yes, Bishop?
I wanted to make sure, I know you had said some things. I want to make sure we get an answer to some of the things that you said. I don't remember what you said, and you can start answering that too.
Well, I know you had expressed earlier about wanting to tell the people that this is more than just a religious book, more than just a metaphysical, metaphorical book, as some overly conscious people would try to speak to, but it's a history book, and it was something else that you had expressed, if you remember. Okay, so the biggest thing is, if the way that I can beat you, I can take away who you are. If I take away who you are and strip you of all of that, now I can give you what I want you to be. If I can give you what I want you to be,
Right.
I have control over you.
Subservient.
And if I have control over you and I can keep you there, I can continue to maintain my power. So it's very important that our people understand that this book is their history, and it's time to go back, understand who you are, which is an Israelite according to the Bible. Understand why it matters, because it's not normal. The streets that we live on, the gang violence that we've endured over the years, over the decades, the drug habits that a lot of our people have, the over-sexualizing of our women, the low academic scores, the low socioeconomic ladder that we're on, the lack of love and respect for one another, the lack of empathy that we have when we're getting gunned down, us getting gunned down in these streets, single parent household, all of these things are a result of disobeying God.
And all those things you just said is we are the ones that have that reality.
We are plagued by it.
Yeah, we're plagued by that reality.
Exactly.
And no other people are.
Exactly. And so all of that to say, if you understand who you are, and you understand you're an Israelite, you'll understand that you're God's chosen people. With understanding you're God's chosen people, that comes with a great responsibility. So, okay, I understand I'm God's chosen people. Now it's time for me to figure out, what does God expect from me? And once you figure out what God expects from you, guess what? I have to now fulfill what God expects from me. And once I fulfill that, as the Bible said, I'm going to reverse the curse. I tell people this all the time. You open up this book, and the Bible said, if you disobey me, you're going to be cursed. Here's a list of the curses. And to a T, that's happened to our people. I'm like, if he said we was going to be cursed and it happened, then I got to believe that he said, but if you obey me, I'm going to bring you back into power. I'm going to heal your land. You're going to get eternal life. I'm going to bring these other nations subservient to you. You're going to rule them righteously. You're not going to treat them like chattel slaves and rape them and all of that stuff. But you're going to rule righteously, and this world's going to be at peace. If he said that, then I got to believe it, because he showed me, you disobey me, I got something for you. And he was not empty in that promise.
Not at all.
So the reason why the Israelites do what they do, a lot of people are like, so what's y'all purpose? What's the mission? Y'all just sowing discord, y'all just racist. No, we are activists for the community. We are speakers for the community. We are the and I use this loosely, we are the savior for the people. In the scriptures, the Bible said God always saved Israel through saviors. There were leaders in Israel that would pull the people back into obeying God. That's what we out here to do. Tell our people, look, you got to be tired of your street smelling like piss and weed all the time.
Right.
You got to be tired of seeing all of these mentally ill people walking up and down the street. You got to be tired of police violence. You got to be tired of being at the bottom. You got to be tired of working 7 days a week. You don't get a mental health break. You got to be tired of all of these things. The Bible already gave you the answer. We tried everything else. Why we don't try to do exactly what God said to do?
Can I say something?
Go ahead, Bishop.
So, a lot of times we kind of want to package things. It makes us feel better to package stuff. And we're like, oh, we're this, we're that. And we almost kind of have an expectation to be like, oh, this is what we are and this is what we can do for you, almost like we politicians. But
Right.
the reality of it is, man, like you said it earlier, right? The writing's on the wall. Who are you gonna let lead you? We see what's already here, and you can only imagine what type of days are coming.
Right.
Who are you gonna let lead you? What is it that we're doing? What's the game plan? I'm a Hebrew, man. I'm a Jew. I'm an Israelite here in America. Before I sell you anything, I gotta get answers myself. This is where I go to get my answers. Yeah. Of course, I send my prayers up. I fast. I meditate. But the thing is, you know, when you live in a time where everybody claim they talking to God, they got personal relationships. Who can you trust?
Right.
Who can you trust? So at the end of the day, really, man, like more so than us selling this to anybody out there. When you see me, you gotta understand what my convictions are. You know what I'm saying? My convictions are tied to this right here not because it's a book and because I'm gonna leverage this book to take advantage of you or somebody else. It's because I'm finding salvation in the instructions in this book.
Right.
Okay.
Finding salvation. I'm finding my place in this story by reading this book. It's documented. That's what's powerful. Some people, the frustration comes in because you're like, how can I make them want it? How can I make them listen? How can I make them? Some of them you're not gonna be able to make.
You can't.
But at some point you gotta ask yourself a question. Am I still gonna keep going after the girl I didn't get, that I haven't been able to get? Or am I gonna go after one that's ready to help me build?
Makes sense.
So we want to know who's out there, who's ready to build. Not only ready to build, who wants to know what they need to do and who they need to follow and learn from, so that they can help their people.
Right.
Because right now we're in a situation right now where you see this country falling, and what does that mean for us? If I have this building, this tall skyscraper that's collapsing, and I'm at the bottom, what do you think is gonna happen to me?
Crushed.
I'm gonna get it the worst. We're gonna get it the worst if we just sit here and just say, okay, well, there ain't nothing I can do. See it all falling down. I'm just gonna wait till it come and crush me and hit me. Don't you owe your children better than that?
Most definitely. Most definitely.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say that, but
I'd like not to cut you off, brother, but just to expound on what you spoke on, I think that it's important that you exemplify choices. Like when you were speaking, E40 song came to my mind. Everybody got choices.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? But I didn't want to. I couldn't bring it in right there because you were speaking very profoundly. So I was like, but yeah, and that resonates because you show yourself as a man who made a choice to do the right thing, to study, to learn, to seek knowledge, to seek understanding, to seek wisdom, and to live a life that exemplifies that.
And I'm gonna tell you what's even more powerful. All praise be to the Most High. Is when you start seeing brothers choosing the same thing and banding together and saying, okay, we got a mission. We got some things that we gotta face. We gotta tackle. Yeah.
Right.
And that's when it really starts making sense. It's tough when you're doing it all on your own, but you don't have to do it by yourself. You don't have to do it. It's others that are thinking like you thinking. They can see what you, not only they can see, because a lot of people can see what you see, but they're willing to acknowledge. Some people are not willing to acknowledge. Some of your friends and the homies, it ain't that they can't see what you see. They just refuse to acknowledge, because with that acknowledgement comes accountability.
Right.
So the ones that are willing to accept that accountability and say, "Yeah, I see what you see. What we gonna do about it? I'm with you." That's who you. That's who you want to
Build with.
connect with. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
That's what's up. Y'all hear it? Y'all hearing it live right here.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
Man.
And that's our mission. That's
Yes,
what we're
sir.
here to do. We're here to tell them this is the black man's book, Black and Brown Brothers book. This is the Israelites book. The people who took it from you and told you, nah. You this, you that. This my book. This my information. They lied to you. And a number of people have tried to come out and tell you, people with influence, and they told them, shut your mouth. And they shut their mouth. They reneged on what they said. They recanted on what they said. Not ever has it been a situation where these same people have come out and just outright say, you guys are wrong. And that's
Right.
And that's the biggest thing to really think about.
Right.
Y'all never said we was wrong.
Right.
Y'all never said
Just be quiet.
Yeah, y'all never said y'all don't have any real proof. It really was.
You gotta hear with them lies.
And the thing is, if it's a lie, lies are easy to debunk. All you gotta do is bring the information.
Exactly.
But they never did it.
They started realizing, like, if I don't know how long you guys have known what you know as far as the Israelites are concerned. What ended up happening, there was a time, and it wasn't too long ago, 5-10 years ago, people would jump up quick. Some of y'all remember that, right? People, you say we Israelites, we like, no, we not.
Yep.
No, we not.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that changed. Well, why did that change? Because it was irrefutable.
Right.
And in these so-called churches, right, they were being slick. And this is what we got to understand. They were doing the same things that have been done to us from the inception, from the beginning of this country. They said, okay, let's bait them. As long as we can get them on the hook, we can reel them in.
Mm-hmm.
So they start saying all of a sudden in the church, the Most High. Ah. Oh, they saying the Most High. They must believe. No. Oh, the tribe of Judah. Oh, they must know. Yeah, they know. But they're not with the program.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, they gotta switch it up a little bit to keep their members and to keep that cash flow. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. Like, it's crazy, man. We look at the streets. It's crazy. The streets have become, I would say, overall, because, you know, there's a lot of organization and crime. Not going to say that there's not organized crime out there. But I think that it's definitely not as organized overall as what it used to be. Would y'all?
Say that it's not as organized as
It used to be.
Or yeah.
The leadership of organizations is no longer. Because everybody want to be the chief and the captain.
Because it's so much now. Like it's like hoods that started off like how many sets came off of any particular neighborhood and
Right.
So the thing about that is there's just different. It's like, okay, you sell potato chips. He decide he gonna sell potato chips. But he sell cookies. Right? But y'all still selling, right? The Christian church, I know somebody gonna be mad at me. I'm be the one to say it. It ain't you say it. We still underestimate how organized they are and they have been, and how they've been able to diversify their portfolios and continue to have the fiends coming back every Sunday, or just being attached. Because even the quote-unquote movers and the shakers, now look what's befallen Diddy. But Diddy was just hanging with T.D. Jakes. He was in the church. The church is accepted. That's the safe way. But it's not just like I'm accepted. It's a connect. It's movers and shakers in the Christian community. When we think Christianity, we think so-called black folks exclusively. And that, man, look at TBN.
Right.
What are we really talking about?
Talking about people on TV pimping.
They connected.
TV pimping. Send your love donation in.
I'll spare the names of the churches,
Right.
but I will say this. I grew up in the church, right? We was in the hood, but I also grew up in the church. And I was appalled, first and foremost, at some of the things that I saw along the way, but even more appalled as I became a young adult and I started finding out all the things that was happening in the church behind closed doors.
Right.
All of the corruption and, the fornication, and
Man.
I was taken back. And the thievery and all of that, like,
And the homosexuality.
oh yeah, that too.
Yeah.
That too. Yeah, that too. So we have to start looking at it differently. I said that to say this, man, because it's easy for us to compartmentalize and say this is this is that, this is that. Your enemy has been able to use all those things and use them well, and then set up systems. So by the time you go over here and you fighting this system and you done took all them fades, so to speak, you wore out. Now you turn around and he like, all right, you ready? Squabble up. Knuckle up. And you like, I'm still tired. I just was dealing with this system over here. He got another system for you.
Right.
Keep him going. And so when you understand that, you got to understand, okay, I got to come at this fight differently. That's where we're at right now. It's not whether or not some of us, you still trying to convince like, oh, there's a fight, there's a war. But for a lot of us, we're at the point now, it's like, oh, hold on. It's a different type of fight. We got to, you go in there like you tried to go in there, it's not going to work. We got to realize the magnitude of who it is that we're facing. And everything that they've concocted, and honestly, what's the word I'm looking for? Everything that they've not just crafted, but when you I'm looking for a word, everything that they've kind of been able to perfect. That's another word I was looking for, but not perpetuate. It's another word that kind of goes along with like perfect. They've been able, you're dealing
Master.
for something, for something that we're sitting here and just now figuring out, oh, they've already had it in motion and they've had 100 years to perfect it.
Right.
And we're still trying to convince each other that we need to have some unity to fight. They've been able to literally take over and run the earth because they've had systems in place. Like we're amazed right now at AI. We're like, AI, what, I can have this going on? What, I could just say what they want. Like, they've had systems in play for so long. In other words, you can't step up without your A game. You can't sit up here, because we've been made to believe with all of the movies that we watch, like, oh, just jump in there. You're going to jump in there and get that ass whooped.
For sure.
It's time for us to say, nah, we got to get ourselves together and really figure out what this is.
Yeah, they just be being a martyr. You do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just being. Oh, it will remember you, my brother, at the next barbecue.
That's it. I was gonna say, I don't remember you for long.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know Montezah, you was talking about the Christian part of things, Christianity. I know I think we all got homies, family members. I know I do. I know when I came into this walk, man, I was made to be the worst nigga on earth. I was the devil the Bible speak of. And to this day, man, and some of the coldest homies and they turned, like you said, after they done did it all and survived it all,
You still alive?
they be like, man, God, Jesus. I'm like, yeah, I'm God and Jesus too, just like you. Yeah, I'm God. They're like, no, but I ain't trying to hear all of that. Here's what I say, we got to take a mental health break, man. Our people suffer from mental health in much greater and staggering numbers than any other nation of people. Reason why, because purposely everything has been thrown at us and continues to be thrown at us.
Right.
You trying to figure out family, trying to figure out how to raise your kids, while you trying to figure out how to maintain your relationship, while you trying to figure out how to get money and how to, it's a lot, man. You trying to figure out how to navigate these streets and how to navigate lifelong friends that continue to want to live a certain way that you realize now that ain't gonna do nothing for me and my family.
Right.
It's so much thrown at us, man. Sometimes you just gotta take, before we even go any further, I get it why you say, I don't want to hear none of that. All right, cool, hold on. Let's take a mental break.
Let me ask you this question, because I heard somebody say this one time, that Hebrew Israelites are just the same as the Nation of Islam. How would you dispute that?
The first thing that I would tell somebody to do, right, for them to make such a bold claim, I would say go and do your own research first and foremost, because the Nation of Islam is an organization. Hebrew Israelites, even if you want to tag it that, it's not an organization. Hebrew Israelite is a historical race of people.
Okay.
The Nation of Islam is an organization within the whole of a belief system, which is Islam. Mm-hmm. There's a big difference.
Right.
And that's not to throw shade, that's just the reality.
Right.
Right now, you may have all these different organizations that identify as Hebrew Israelite, but the Nation of Islam has been able to ultimately forge a pretty
They're part of black culture.
they've carved, definitely carved out a recognizable section in this society, so to speak, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And for that is what that is. Now, what tends to happen is any organization that you have, right? It's just like gangs, man. I know we can relate to that. Some of us was, we was affiliated, we was in, we was, and if you wasn't necessarily a part, you got family, you know. Every gang ain't the same. Every gang ain't the same. Now, essentially, they might say, "Oh, all gangs are bad." Okay, but you got some leaders of certain gangs that have certain codes of ethics and are honorable to some regard. Mm-hmm. And then you have some that, man, they treacherous.
Right.
So it's important that people take the time and do their research on who it is that they're dealing with.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter if because what I'm not going to do and what we're not going to do is sit up here and say, "Oh, Hebrew Israelite, bam, and that's it." Nah, because I can't speak for every Hebrew Israelite.
I'm just playing a little bit of devil's advocate.
For sure.
As I saw comments.
Yeah.
In previous,
it's comfortable.
YouTube.
It's comfortable for some people because we've heard it over the years. Oh, they're the same thing. They don't eat pork and stuff like that.
I don't think y'all the same thing.
I know you don't. I know you don't. Just from the conversations
I know better.
and stuff.
But I think it's important that you break it down for the people. What you already have, what we know is that
But I'll go into it more. I know
it's
what
broken
you're
down because you have other groups that people that are black religious groups. I don't want to put a handle on it like that, but we have several, right?
Yeah.
And so we have the Christian church, the Methodists, Lutherans. We got that, okay. Then we have Muslims, Nation of Islam. We also have the Moors. We also have the 5%ers.
Yeah.
And we also have the Hebrew Israelites, and we have some more that I'm not even going to mention. But what I want to draw a comparison is that these are all groups of black men with women is involved as well, but they're for the black man. What I want to say is, why haven't either one of these groups been able to take more of a stronghold with the black community as a whole and uplift it out of the current conditions that it's in? Because I saw, as we discussed earlier, Gaddafi. He had $2 billion for Farrakhan, but I guess who was it? Bush said, "Man, you ain't about to get none of that. You ain't about to do nothing like that." Does that play a part in it, the socioeconomic standpoint of us being solidified and independent as a people, and at every angle that we try to congregate and to evolve, we're met with opposition?
So I want to speak to both. I want to speak to the original thing that you said in the question, and I also want to speak to I don't know a whole lot about the situation when Gaddafi tried to give Farrakhan. But I will say this, and I know Farrakhan probably has spoken this to some degree, but definitely would know this. I'm pretty sure, even if Gaddafi may have had some goodwill with that offer,
Right.
that it was a play. It was definitely a play. And what I mean by that is, Farrakhan has been very, very influential, you know what I'm saying? Especially in the United States of America, to so-called black people.
Right.
And there's a certain level of power, right, that could potentially come along with the influence that he has and has had, that Gaddafi understood and wanted to, I'm pretty sure,
partner up with.
Yeah. Because Gaddafi was doing that. Because remember when Obama first came into office, he was shaking hands with Gaddafi.
Right.
Before Obama got out of office, he had Gaddafi assassinated.
Right. And now they back in slavery over there in Lebanon.
So some of the things that Gaddafi was trying to do are some of the things that are still kind of in motion with other countries. But this is something that may be a little controversial, but it's true. It's true.
Reality is reality.
America has historically, and then I'm going to get to the original thing that you asked about, the difference, right?
Right.
America, right, we tend to, or I don't like to even say we, America has created this kind of situation where it gets people to believe that America has a moral compass, that we wouldn't pick on the little people.
Right.
But in recent history, what America hasn't done, they haven't gone up against major countries and had all out war with them. They've always decided to go against smaller countries.
Right.
So they waged war against Korea, Japan, Afghanistan, Iraq, right? Mm-hmm. So, and a few others. Now, this is one of the things that a lot of people don't know, because we're here in America and you believe what it is that you're taught. Right. That's just like you believe that there are how many continents?
7.
Okay.
According to the map. According to what they tell me it is.
So in other countries, guess what?
What?
They don't believe the same thing.
They don't believe the same thing. Yeah. I don't believe in light years.
If we can name the 7 continents, what would you say? According to what we learned in America.
According to what they taught me in school, in the public school system, Africa, Antarctica, Asia, Australia, America.
Which one? Might help you out.
Yeah, South and North. And
That last one.
and I say Antarctica already? Europe. Thank you, my brother. Europe.
There's
Yes.
one you missed. Let's see. I think you said Europe, I think.
No,
No, you didn't say Europe.
I said everything with an A.
Okay, so did you say Australia already?
Yeah, I said Australia.
Okay, so Australia. Australia, the rest of the world, they don't call Australia a continent in and of its own.
Okay.
They call Australia, along with the other islands outside of the Philippines. I forgot some of the terminology because they even split them in three. But all of those islands, they call all that, including Australia, Oceania. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, but how do you, Oceania?
I heard of something like that before.
Yeah. So, and then the Olympics, right? The Olympics, those rings, how many rings are there?
5.
They represent the continents.
Right.
It's only 5.
Right. That makes sense. That makes
Because
sense.
I think also, if I'm not mistaken, they don't consider, I want to say Europe as a continent of its own.
It used to be called Eurasia, so they probably
I think that's
Yeah,
probably,
I've
they
heard
might
that
still
term
run.
before.
Yeah, I was gonna say they might run those together.
yeah. So, what was my reason for saying that? What was I saying before?
And because we was talking about how the different areas have not been able to come together based on.
I forgot the point I was trying to make. But I'm going to get back to that original question, and hopefully it'll come back. So now the difference between really like not just the Nation of Islam, but Islam and, the Israelites, but more so the Nation of Islam, because we speaking to so-called black
Right.
people. Right? Off top, the Nation of Islam, it really depends on who it is that you speak to. Because if you have someone who has studied and really is serious about their scholarship, they'll tell you, hey, I know we're Israelites. So this is something that's accepted. Even Farrakhan, I think in 2010, kind of went on a campaign basically telling the world that we are the children of Israel, so-called black people. And even did an issue of the Final Call that said it on the front of the Final Call that blacks are the children of Israel. That's documented. So their leader, that's the leader of the Nation of Islam, has already on record said, yes, so-called blacks are indeed the children of Israel.
Okay.
Right. Even a brother, I don't know exactly how the Nation of Islam feels about, I don't know, a lot of people don't know as much about Khalid.
Abdul Muhammad.
Yeah.
Khalid Abdul Muhammad.
Yeah.
Man, that dude was a that dude could speak.
Yeah.
I used to check him out, check his videos out. I know that he got took out by some food poisoning.
I don't know. Cause and then
it was poison. It was through his food. It wasn't like just. It didn't happen organically. It happened. It was planned.
well, I know they had it was an assassination attempt prior to that.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but he was very
He was on Donahue. He told Donahue.
he would openly say, that, hey, yeah, so-called blacks, we are the original Israelites. We're the Jew. We're Semitic. So he would say that outright. So by the time you get to the Nation of Islam today, people are picking and choosing what it is that they want to promote and tell the masses versus the things that they don't necessarily want to promote. Right? For us, we're going to tell you what this Bible says.
Right.
And we're not going to cut corners, and we're not going to deviate from what this says. So, unfortunately, that doesn't always happen with other organizations, right? That's not happening with the Nation of Islam. Some of them will tell you, of course, the Bible, because you know when you read their books, it'll tell you that the Bible is the primary source.
Right.
But being an Israelite is definitely because I know being a Muslim by name means to be
One who submits to Allah.
yeah, one who submits to Allah, right? To God. Being an Israelite doesn't mean that you submit. It's a whole, like he said earlier, there's a whole lot of us that are Israelites, whether we like it or not. We may never submit, but that doesn't change the fact that we are Israelites.
Right.
Now, what we do is beyond just being a Hebrew Israelite. What we do is we said, hey, we gonna do what the God of this Bible says for us to do.
Right.
Yep. So
And that's the difference.
that's the big difference.
That's a huge difference. And the thing is too, and you know, like the brother said, no, there's no shade to anyone, Muslim or to be Islam or Nation of Islam, anybody can be that, right? It's primarily our people, but anybody can be a Muslim. To be an Israelite, that's like somebody coming over and, you know, for the sake of what we would call layman's terms, right? Mm-hmm. People that say, oh yeah, that brother's a black man. They understand that to be African American.
Right.
Can't no white person just come over to you now and say, all right, I'm African American.
Nah.
You be like, huh? So being an Israelite is genealogically, genetically speaking, who you are, who we are. So we're not the same in that regard, because Hebrew Israelites is not what you would call an organized religion. It is your history. It is your bloodline.
So you basically saying everybody can't join.
Everybody can't join. Absolutely
Everybody
not.
can't join.
It can't be.
It's only certain people.
If you not, if this ain't your bloodline, if your forefathers not Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, you can't be in Israel.
It's a DNA.
It's a DNA thing, exactly.
So give more insight too, because I know somebody out there, you already know it's going, oh, they say it ain't for everybody, it ain't for me. So, you know, some of the things that the Bible tells us in regards, because some people genuinely be like, how do I know?
Right.
I don't know. I could be a white man. I could be this. Right. So the best thing to do off top is do what this Bible says. I don't care what you think you are. Do what this Bible says. Now, I can't make you. You may choose not to.
Lead the horse to water, can't make him drink.
Right.
Now, if something inside of you resonates with what you're being told according to this Bible, then do what this Bible says, and you should be good from there. And we're able to substantiate that with scriptures.
Right.
That's the thing. So it's not a situation, because some people go and they'll weaponize and be like, man, they ain't even no Israelite. And it's like, how do you know?
How do you know? Right.
How do you know? Well, because how do you know? So-called, like he said, we generalize at times. So-called black, so-called brown people of indigenous descent, native, Mexican, you know what I'm saying, Latino, Chicano, Hispanic, all of that, all them old fancy good words, Jamaican, Belize, all of that.
Yeah.
If you any of that off top, we're telling you, pay attention, get with what the book's saying, period. Now,
Are those part of the 12 tribes?
yeah.
Okay.
Now, there are Israelites out there that'll sell you something that's pretty and say, oh, you know, if you're in this place, you're from this tribe. We don't teach that, because that's a lie. That can't be substantiated. Now, we do know that we descend from them 12 tribes, but we don't know which tribes we come from, because we don't have pedigrees. The way it worked, you have to give proof to say I'm a part of this particular tribe.
Right.
Yeah, so we don't know what tribes we're from. And some of the backstory on that, it was so serious, like there's one particular tribe that was chosen to be, you know, the priests.
The ministers of the temple.
Yeah. And it became a situation where they were coming back from captivity, and these guys said, hey, we're Levites. And they're like, okay, cool, show us the proof.
They couldn't
Just like
find
you
it.
showing an ID or a birthright or
Right.
a certificate or whatever. they couldn't produce it. So they said, y'all can't serve. And we're not saying you're not an Israelite. You can be an Israelite. That's cool. But you can't prove that you're a son of Levi.
It's a big deal.
Then we can't let you do this, or it's going to be problems. Right. So, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. You can finish that.
Now, I was just going to say, so we don't teach that, our organization. This ain't a Hebrew Israelite thing. This is an organizational thing. We don't teach that because we also know another thing that we understand is, like, kind of give you an example. Like, we talk about the tribes. We're still at the end of the day, because the Bible talks in the book of Revelation, it's going to go back to those 12 tribes.
Right.
But here's the thing, right? There's something to this that we have to understand, right? The way things were set up when we did have our tribes and we knew who we were, you weren't deciding, oh, I live in Los Angeles, I feel like I want to move to Atlanta. That's not how it went.
Right.
It was almost on some but righteous gangbanging stuff.
Right.
Not unrighteous. It was on some righteous type stuff. Because it was like, oh, this my hood for life till I die. That was your territory. That was your tribe. And that's what it was. You weren't looking and having ambitions to go and move over in somebody else's territory. That wasn't going to happen. You had a sense of pride in knowing, like, this is who I belong with, and I'm going to do everything I can do to keep my people going and to build my people, right? Or my tribe, I should say.
Right.
Because all of them were their people, the whole nation. Today, at the moment now, we don't necessarily know what tribes we belong to.
Right.
But we can look at what this Bible says and look at the proof, the archaeology, the history, and say we are Israelites.
Right.
And then further than that, one of the things that's okay to do, we began to understand, like, okay, we also begin to still function as tribes. Oh, this brother, he's a part of this organization, True Nation. Oh, that's a tribe. Because tribe literally means a branch.
Right.
So we share a common name. It's like you got a family name and you got members, you probably got siblings and they got the same last name. Y'all are family. This is like our family crest. We gonna follow what this Bible say. If other families within the Israelite community don't follow what this Bible say and they twist up, we gonna follow what this Bible says. So when you see this right here, understand that that's what that stands for. We're dedicated to trying to make sure that we really live by this Bible.
Right.
Period.
And that was the other side of it too. When we speak about like the difference, right? I think a lot of people look at Israelites and then they say you're the same as the Nation of Islam because there's a level of that militant style that a lot of us are, right? But the thing is, we abide by a different set of rules.
Okay.
Right. There are certain things that we just absolutely don't do. There are certain things that we absolutely don't allow ourselves to do because it's written right here, and we adhere strictly to the book, right? You won't catch us in certain venues. You won't catch us doing certain things on certain days, whereas they don't have those same set of rules, right?
Okay.
So they'll be in certain areas, and again, there's no shade to them. If you notice, a lot of times they're trying to be in the limelight, so to speak, and it's not for us. It's where can we go to bring our people to this understanding, and that's what it is. The closest thing that we have that is a similarity is the militia style function, as well as the desire to pull our people to a better way. Mm-hmm. Outside of that, we function on two different levels. We function on two different principles as well.
Okay.
So there is, outside of those two things, there is no real similarity between us and the Nation of Islam.
Right.
Yeah, I think they say, because what I try to make sure we're careful not to do is speak on things and matters that we're not as informed as maybe we would like to believe that we are. So I try to keep it not to like, oh, you won't say nothing. We've said a number of things,
right,
and what we needed to say in regards to whomever,
right. Most definitely,
yeah,
most definitely.
But in all fairness, it's like they're gonna do what they do. They've been doing what they've been doing. Now we got brothers that are a part of not only because when we think Hebrew Israelite, remember it's not an organization; it's a people.
Right.
But our organization, we have brothers that came out of Islam, right? That made the choice to say, look, what I see, I need to do what this Bible says. You know, and when you talk to those brothers, the transition, you know what I'm saying, like kind of the stuff that he was talking about, the transition for the most part was this, like, oh, you know, there, because kudos to the Nation of Islam in terms of certain things that I have observed, you know, their ability to pull together to show a certain type of strength.
Right.
I give them that, right? But in terms of things that are no-goes with us, and we got to stand on that. You know what I'm saying? We got, as a brother, I got to stand on like, hey, there's certain things being amongst the brothers, you can't do that because it's bad on all of us. And not really more so because of what people are going to think, but because we have a God that'll whoop our ass. We have a God that'll destroy you. There have been cases where he'll kill you for being in close proximity to someone else who's gone against him. So we have a responsibility as brothers, as family, to say, hey man, you off, man. You got to get back on track. You got to, or, you know, there's also certain situations where it's like, hey, you got to go. And those are things that are laid out too. So, you know, it's not a free-for-all in that type of way. Like certain things that you said earlier, like I'm not going through this type of door if they doing this. Like there's certain things, once you know what you know according to these scriptures, and if you violate certain things, you can't be amongst us.
Right.
That's according to this Bible.
Right.
Yeah, so sometimes people, they may feel a way about that, but it is what it is because we fear God.
Right. For sure.
Yeah.
And that's definitely important to keep it in that perspective, because it can easily be misconstrued that the similarities of the groups, if you just say, you just look at a video and you don't hear what's being said, you can say a bunch of black men right here, they demonstrating. Over here, got another video, a bunch of black men right here, they demonstrating.
Yeah.
And so if you don't know what the message is, and of course y'all both share the Bible, but they also had a Quran as well,
Right.
which is another book that they go by outside of the Bible.
And I believe not even just the Quran, they got the surahs.
The surah,
The surahs.
Yeah. Just to educate the viewers, you know,
Absolutely.
because a lot of people they might not know. They might say, I've seen them on the corners. They was out there, you know, talking to some people. You know, they might not know what the message is though.
Yeah.
You know, or
So-
what the intent.
So one of the things that people do misconstrue, they be like, oh, do y'all believe in Jesus? Like, we definitely not only believe, understand who the world calls Jesus Christ to be the King of Israel, right?
Right.
Who walked on this earth and who's coming back, he's going to return,
Right.
right? We acknowledge the prophets that are spoken of in this book.
Right.
We don't acknowledge some of the prophets, you know, as our prophets that they acknowledge.
Right.
Right.
Right. So we acknowledge what's in this book.
I ain't got to ask you what's the difference between y'all and the Christian church.
Yeah. Yes indeed.
Yeah.
Off top, man, the Christian church, man, it's a jug, man. They the Christian church again, very well connected. I think a lot of times people don't really talk about that enough, and it's you know, I might catch some flack for this, but it's crazy because we be talking about, you know, certain groups, and we identify certain groups as like, oh, some hitters over there, some killers. The Christian church probably got the most, and historically,
Right.
shed the most blood by far.
Crusade.
By far. And to this day, still an organized crime. So I know a lot of people don't like to hear that. Oh, they demonizing, blah blah blah. But they don't even pretend to have the same type of discipline. You know what I'm saying? It's celebrated to not be disciplined, to have the ability to do whatever the heck you want to do. Yeah, to be disobedient, absolutely. And we're afraid to do that, man, because
Right.
our God will whoop our ass.
Right.
And, you know, and our people refuse sometimes to see when we are getting our behinds whooped.
Right.
Yeah, they refuse to acknowledge that a lot of the things that happen to us, because the way our God works, he tells you in this book, he said, I ain't just gotta hit you, I hit your kids, I hit the ones you love.
Right. That's real.
Sometimes we okay. We like, taking me out. It is what it is. I'm gone. Or, you know, let it happen to me.
Now you
But
can suffer.
it'd be a whole different situation. Hey, y'all know, because y'all got kids, and you get to a point, you done been through some things, you like, it is what it is. But it's hard to sit there and look at your child and say, Dad, help me.
And not help.
And you can't help.
Can't help
Yeah.
him.
Can't help. That's worse.
Yeah. So you deal with a God that'll deal with you in that way. He says, as much as I love you, you don't want to be my enemy.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Like the old saying, your arm's too short to box with God. Yeah.
Exactly.
You know what, brother, as we get ready to conclude, I'm going to ask you this question. Do you guys have, where anybody that wants to learn more about the Hebrew Israelites, would they want to come and be a part and listen? Not like on some, this ain't open to the public, ain't nothing. I mean, like we all said, we're going to be over here talking, or you want to look online, look at some of the teachers, because we touched on a wide range of topics tonight. But I'm sure when y'all really in y'all bag, so to speak,
Definitely.
you speak on a lot of different things, and you go more in depth. We really skimmed the surface.
Definitely.
We went in depth somewhat, but
Definitely.
it's just like an introduction.
Anytime y'all want us back, man.
Oh, most definitely.
For sure.
You want to tell the people where they can.
Definitely. I would say, because I know a lot of people, from not even from the comfort of their homes, but from their phones. So you can look at us off top on YouTube,
True Nation Los Angeles.
True Nation Los Angeles, and we got other stations also on YouTube, other channels,
Right.
I should say. So YouTube is a great way. We're on Facebook. I think we got an Instagram too. So True Nation.
Right.
Well, pretty much every, social media platform. Instagram's True Nation Los Angeles. YouTube is True Nation Los Angeles. Facebook is True Nation Israelite Congregation. And then, we have a physical building for brothers who want to come and fellowship and learn about their history, learn about their culture, and learn about what it is that God is expecting of them.
Right.
And you can get that on the website.
Right, TrueNation.org is the website. So you can hop on TrueNation.org, and it's actually a gang of information on the website itself. There's a ton of articles on there that you can read.
And a lot of brothers need to tap in and get that knowledge. Learn something new than what you already been conditioned and programmed to think and believe. Open up your mind, expand your thoughts, and see what resonates with you.
Right.
You won't know until you start reading though. You gotta read. You can't just always look at videos and listen to music. Read!
That's right.
Brother, you want to tell the people your name, my brother?
Yes, sir. My name is Darash, an apostle at True Nation Israelite Congregation. We appreciate y'all for having us on here, man.
Man,
Most
big
definitely.
time, big
Tell
time.
them your name, my brother.
I'm Taziah Wan, man.
Yes.
One of the bishops of True Nation. This dude didn't say nothing.
Yeah, he been holding down the whole time. Yeah.
Y'all got it, man. Y'all said everything that was supposed to be said.
That's right.
Y'all mic'd up. I didn't want to,
Yeah. All right.
confuse us.
Yeah.
And the brother Matazal wanted me to say too, because it was a good point, right? In addition to the classes and this is really our culture, right? And so why that's so important outside of the classes and what you would call church or the fellowship, and we have the music, we have clothing, like Tribal Society, this is a movement, right? This ain't just, you come to church and you go home and live your life. No, this is an everyday thing. So our culture, from clothing to music, we got music. A lot of brothers that walk this walk got music.
Yeah, and you brought up the clothing. I want to speak on that. A lot of people don't know about the fringes.
Right.
You know, because y'all is, expound on that. I'm trying to close out. But
That's all
Well,
good.
it's so much, this ain't even content. It's like conversation. It's like school.
Right.
It's like, learning,
Right.
But it's, tell
Well,
about
real quick, so the fringes, the Most High commanded us to wear fringes, and the reason for us to wear fringes is two things. It distinguishes us from everyone else, and number two, it was to be a reminder for us to continue to keep the laws of God, for us to continue to walk after what we call the Torah, right?
Right.
So the scriptures literally said you wear the fringes so that you can look down upon them and see your fringe and remember the laws of God and don't stray away.
And this is what all the Hebrew Israelites shirts wear.
This is what all Israelites should wear.
That's what they
That's what they should wear.
Okay. Yeah.
Every Israelite that know they're an Israelite that are striving to keep the Torah and the commandments of God, that's what they should be wearing.
And they look fly too, man.
Yeah.
I know somebody might look at these, they look at ours, and they be like, "Man, I don't know about that, man."
Go
'Cause
go on our
even
social
though-
medias and see how we really get out, and you can see the fringes. That's again, that's a part of our culture. You hear a lot of that in our music. You hear a lot about the fringes and the blue strip, which is the ribbon of blue.
Right.
And that is a staple as far as the culture is concerned. And when you see it, when the Israelites do it right, it's fly.
It's an easily identifiable object.
Yep.
When you see somebody now, when you've been knowing for a time,
It's
and,
like
you,
seeing
and you
somebody
look at him, you
with
like,
a
"Oh, he must be an Israelite."
Right.
That's just like on some street stuff. You see certain things.
Oh, he got a certain hat on.
So Most High gave us the heads up and knew. He
Right.
said, "Okay, I'm gonna make sure they know you minds.
Right.
Wear these."
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yes, sir. And with that, I'm here to do Deeply Rooted Compton Podcast Lounge. We just did another one. And y'all look forward to the next one. We're going to have these brothers back another time.
All
We're going
praises.
to keep on bringing y'all this diverse, good content. And with that, it's Friday. We out of here.
Appreciate y'all, man.
Yes, sir. Appreciate that.
Excellent too, man.